How I love this pretty bed. Now I'll rest my weary head. Good night.
Hey everybody, it's that time of year again. Hello. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you've been to the mall? It's probably been a while, right? Now, when's the last time you've been to a haunted mall? Never? Well, that's exactly where we're going today. We're going to a spooky, scary, spectral mall, haunted by PS1 demos. Let's check it out. You guys know the drill by now. Halloween means another haunted PS1 demo disc, and this year we have Spectral Mall. As a recap, the first haunted PS1 demo disc presented the games in a menu very similar to an actual PS1 demo disc you might have found in the 90s. The sequel disc got a bit more elaborate, with there being an actual FPS-style hub that takes place in a museum, with the demos serving as the art exhibits. There were even a couple secret games that required you to do a bit of exploring and puzzle solving to unlock. Spectral Mall actually takes this more interactive concept even further. There's a much more in-depth hub this time around, with several sections to the mall, including the back rooms. And while there were 2 secret games in the last collection that had to be unlocked, only a tiny portion of all the demos here are accessible from the get-go. That means you must explore the mall and find key items, access hidden areas, and obtain special tools to unlock the vast majority of the demos. This essentially makes the hub for Spectral Mall almost a whole game within itself, and you're going to be spending much more time in it compared to the last collection. There is a browse option that lets you just select any of the demos you want without having to deal with all the hub stuff, but come on, that's boring. I do appreciate that they don't spoil the secret games here though. Those you gotta unlock. Before we get into the first demo, I just gotta say, the title screen music here hits hard. Like, damn, what a good start. I do miss the unique exhibit rooms that each demo had in the last collection. Here we get a taste of that same concept with a significant object from each demo being shown off in the display case in front of all the demo stores. Upon entering, we get a mock game manual that gives a brief description of the game, along with credits and content warnings, much like last time. Okay, first off we have Nowhere, Michigan. Nowhere, Michigan is a first-person Metroidvania about a young man named James trying to track down his missing brother Alex after he runs away from home. The narrative takes place in the mysterious town of Nowhere, ground zero for a reactor detonation that scarred the local area with supernatural properties. So basically what they're saying is,
creepy stuff happens in Nowhere.
So this game starts with James promising his mother that they'll be back in time for Thanksgiving. Nowhere happens to be a very crunchy land filled with chill lo-fi music and many strange and interesting characters. There's a lot of reused sprites going on, with recurring templates like peg leg locals, monkeys, and clowns. But each NPC is unique in their own right. Well, except maybe the police officers who are all obsessed with fungus. You might find yourself running into not just a monkey, but sexual monkey. Or local big juicy ass. Yeah. The majority of the gameplay seems to consist of simply walking around and chatting with these characters in increasingly bizarre environments, but you eventually start picking up items and upgrades, like this jetpack which greatly increases your mobility, and Mr. Sprout, which anyways. And you save at rainbow-colored water fountains, which just tickles me for some reason. This is one of those games where the real core of it is just to walk around absorbing the surreal sights and reading ridiculous rhetoric from people like the Prince's Dream of Guy and Strange Baby-like Entity. Speaking of the dialogue, I really appreciate that the game tells you exactly how many new boxes of text a character is going to say before they're finished talking. More games should do that. So yeah, this is pretty much just a walk and talk and occasionally give people items game. Until you find your talking gun, that is. Yes, there's a talking gun. No, not that one. Concord the gun here has amnesia and agrees to help you in exchange for taking him with you, and he immediately proves his worth via an impromptu boss battle. Now I'm gonna be honest, when I hear Metroidvania, I might think of a game like this, or this, or maybe even this. No, not that, we're not ready for that yet. But what I don't think of is this. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Alright, next up we have 10 Dead Doves. Will you discover why the birds drop dead or leave behind nothing but footprints? It's a pretty succinct description. This demo has the honor of being the first tank control game we're trying out. Ah, tank controls, my beloved. I don't care what anyone says. In my opinion, they're perfect. 10 Dead Doves opens with a trippy, minimalist liminal dimension, which makes great use of silhouettes and many different static camera angles. We walk around for a while before coming upon a creepy figure on a typewriter, before suddenly waking up in the middle of a road trip with our buddy. Interestingly, each item you pick up comes with its own distinct flavor text that launches into a tangent that somewhat relates to the item being examined, rather than just describing what it is. Like the bag of beef jerky that includes a tongue-in-cheek script for a commercial, or a hot dog that employs a full page-length poem. At first it just seems like two regular college-aged guys going hiking, but eventually strange things start occurring. Starting with the fact that this guy refuses to take any cold drinks from the fridge, opting to buy the room temperature soda instead. Excuse me? It's the only way to live, baby. Honestly, I don't understand these guys' relationship. I guess they're friends, but they're constantly bickering with each other in the weirdest ways.
Whoa, look at the big man with his Webster dictionary.
At least I know how to S-T-O-P.
I can read, dude!
Eventually, things go south after they forget to refill their gas tank, and you realize they've been searching for some unexplained urban legend of a place called the Ant Farm. There's some puzzle solving, some scares, and of course the two friends get separated just before the demo comes to a close. But not before the two ask you to please wishlist 10 Dead Doves on Steam so they don't cease to exist. Wow. Existential bargaining directly from the two main characters of the game. Every demo should do that. Next we have Baba Sangjar, which judging by the name and storefront might be Korean? Or maybe some kind of Scandinavian? My sources say no. You, a very man, has accidentally collided with the wrong house for your family Christmas dinner party, and now you must find where your family has gone to, searching for clues within your childhood videotapes? What could possibly go wrong in this highly anaerobic, unconventionally interactive videotape simulation? Quite everything. Those were words, I guess. So the art in this game could best be described as construction paper puppetry dipped in LSD and then presented on a TV with its bloom cranked up to the max. Aside from that, the uncalled for sound effects and visuals make this almost feel like a YouTube poop in game form. Like this, for example.
And here we go, baby.
What? The premise is you've accidentally injected yourself into your old childhood home, but you find a magical VCR that sucks you into the tape being played, which happens to be a recording of that same childhood home, in which you also have a magical VCR, which then sucks you into another VHS tape. Hey, I heard you like cursed VHS tapes. So I put a VHS tape inside of your VHS. So this is another one of those games where you just explore and take in the insanity around you. And man, is there a lot to take in. From checking out clothing spheres, to saying no to shadowy ambient figures, to seeing what comic strips 20,000 years in the future might look like. This game truly has it all. You engage with other characters by slapping them, of course, and the stuff they say might be the oddest thing about this game. I'm not sure if the dev's English is actually anywhere near this broken, but if it is, they're leaning into it here in the most amusing way possible. Now we have, sorry, we're open. As the new manager of your local supermarket branch, you'll be expected to manage your employees, tackle both day and night shifts, and make the hard decisions to keep the store running each hour of the day. Remember, your store's reputation and your employees' livelihoods are in your hands. This demo is a pretty big departure from the other styles of games in that it's a random encounter-focused RPG that takes place in a haunted department store. You build your party by interviewing potential hirees and choosing the ones you want based on their unique qualities. Other than that, you're basically just sitting around waiting for things to happen, which will either result in a status effect or battle. You could try to do actual work like putting carts away, but I swear whenever I try this option, it just results in something bad happening. Enemies include box-stealing rodents and clothing mannequins come to life. Honestly, this game feels a bit bare bones at this stage, but I do think it's a neat idea. Next, Future Reality Racing League. Race high-speed bio-refuse shells through a dark future ruled by Omnicorps and overrun with fleshy abominations. Racing horror from Future Reality Softworks. Now I know what you're immediately thinking when you see this. This has gotta be like F-Zero, right? And as a huge F-Zero fan, that idea does excite me. But actually, once you get into the gameplay, it feels more like a mix between F-Zero and Star Fox. Because you're racing through a lot of tube-like structures, but it controls more like a proper flying vehicle rather than a machine hovering off the ground. You can pick up refuse to fill up your cells, which you can then use to give yourself a boost or repair your ship. I'd love to go even more into this game, but unfortunately at the moment this seems to be about as far as it goes, with only a single vehicle and tutorial course available to mess around in. Considering the content warnings though, I'm really curious to see where this game goes once it gets farther along. Alright, 5 points to anyone in the comments born after 2000 who knows what this is. Also, this is Fear the Spotlight. Your friend Amy has mysteriously vanished at Sunnyside High. Search for her in an abandoned area, but beware, something seems to be lurking there with you. This game begins with a young girl who wanders into an old burned down section of her school after hours to find her friend Amy who's gone missing. She wanders around long forgotten classrooms, picking out clues about past dramas, literally, and finding a strange connection between her friend Amy and the previous students of the school. Oh, by the way, there's a giant spotlight head who wants you dead, shooting deadly bursts of energy if he catches sight of you. Interestingly, you actually use inhalers as your source of health. There's some neat little RE-esque puzzle moments here, like using a list of birthdays to figure out the combination to a locker, and placing the various posters you find around the classrooms to open a big, spooky door. Wonder what we'll find behind it. Next is Miracle Bug in the Electric Limbo. Bug has found himself in a mysterious limbo realm. Take a look around and try to make sense of this place. Encounter a passage to the next layer. This game opens up with a very confusing control menu. X being the same input as right click and Z the same as left click is especially weird considering their place on the keyboard. But anyway, forget all that because we have visual storytelling. You see, once there was a cracked moon that flashed and a sad bug danced on a flotation device with open 4 eyes. Then he did the hand thing you're not supposed to look at and then bug fall down. Did you get all that? So this is a 2D style black and white game that moves on an isometric style grid. I admit the movement takes some getting used to. At first it seems like one of those games where you walk around exploring and chatting with folk, but after wandering for a while you suddenly enter into a boss fight of sorts that seems to work like a WarioWare level. Choose the tarot card and complete the micro minigames in time to deal damage. As a WarioWare lover, I completely loved this idea, except for this one micro game which has you doing one of those sliding tile puzzles, which I absolutely suck at if it isn't the one from RE4. This completely breaks the flow of the fast-paced gameplay, and they seem to even realize that this would take a lot of players a while to solve, because it's the only game with a super long time limit. It took me over 3 minutes to complete it myself, and I don't know what would have happened if I didn't. Other than that one strange choice, I found myself enjoying this demo quite a bit, and I'm interested to see what the final product might look like. Next up is Dead Letter Department. Working at a temp data entry job, you type and transcribe the lost mail and letters that have nowhere else to go. But as the days carry on, oddities in the mail begin to emerge. This game is quite a unique concept. It starts with you writing a letter to your mom, or your dad, or your asshole, you know, whichever you prefer. It's customizable about how your new job has been going. The visuals on your way to work is actually pretty wild. I feel like if you take a screenshot of this, you could easily mistake it for a real-life image. The heart of the game begins at your work computer where you're tasked with copying the highlighted information given to you on undelivered letters. Some of the words can be quite hard to read at times, but your computer comes with a handy auto-suggestion system to help you out. As you might expect, as you work your way through more mail, you start to find disturbing words and imagery. I feel like this is a brilliant idea, but I do have one complaint. it takes a long time for anything to actually happen. You'll find yourself going through dozens and dozens of letters with minimal creepiness and wondering if your workday is ever going to end. Keep in mind, at a certain point, some crazy stuff does start to happen after you finally leave your work desk, but I feel like the pacing was really slogged down with the amount of normal letters they have you work through in one go. Here's a suggestion I have to break up the monotony. Give the players just several letters to work on before ending the workday, then walk back home, write more letters to your insert relation here, and then return to work tomorrow where things just keep getting more sus every day. Pacing issues aside, when things do happen, they really make you want to see what's gonna happen next. Now we have They Speak from the Abyss. Trapped in a world filled with horrifying demons, taunted by the vision of a woman she can only vaguely recognize, Vanessa must face hell and meet some new friends along the way in this first-person dungeon crawler. When they said first-person dungeon crawler, they meant old school style FPS dungeon crawler with the grid-based movement, except if it took place in the middle of a modern day cosmic horror nightmare. A big smiley therapist shows up in our guest room and leads us into a dimension of body horror. Here we meet some gruesome creatures and crush suspended black hearts in order to open pathways. There's also this bloody saccharine man named Killer who keeps threatening us but then helps us at the same time. This game is disturbingly neat, though I do feel the POV could stand to be pulled back a bit, and you could maybe have the ability to look slightly upwards or downwards, since often you can't see who you're talking to properly. I'll be honest, this is one of those games where I get lost at a certain point and become unsure of what to do, but if you're into gory body horror type stuff, you might just enjoy this one. Next is North Star Courier. Explore the depths of a little bayside town as you deliver packages and uncover its dark underbelly. On the surface, this probably seems like the least fitting game on this collection of demos. You play as a gal who just moved away from home to begin a new job delivering packages. This is honestly a pretty comfy game, where you just zoom around on your moped, chatting with amusing locals and giving them their mail. You've got old man Nicholas who likes playing his keyboard, a friendly ramen shop owner, and a techno hacker shut-in who communicates with you via CRT and accepts her packages via a wooden bucket. While all this is going on, you're also apparently tasked with taking photos of anomalies around town. These are indicated by the red ring that appears when aiming your camera. These range from mildly creepy to straight up silly, but you do start having some unsettling dreams. At the very end of the demo, things go completely off the rails. We're frantically running around, using an auto shotgun, battling a walking farmhouse Baba Yaga? What? Is this even the same game? Well, in case you're wondering, that final fight segment was actually coded by Johnny Fever Dream, the dev of the first demo we played, Nowhere, Michigan, so that kind of explains that. Speaking of coding, they were nice enough to include a failsafe just in case you fall through the world on accident. Oh no! Okay. Also, I have no idea if this was intentional or not, but check out what happens the first night you go to sleep in your new bed. What? Wait a second! That looks like the Killer 7 soundtrack. Also, the demo ends like this. Oh, what? Yeah, game gets an automatic A+ for that.